When I was a kid, my father, who died over 20 years ago, wanted me to be a doctor. Hey, I was Jewish. You may have noticed a few of us get into that profession. And he was a doctor himself, a good one it seemed, who invented methods of afterloading radioactive cesium for cancer of the cervix and other operations. So I grew up around doctors. Several eminent physicians came to my bar mitzvah, including Bela Schick, the pediatrician who coined the term allergy and invented the Schick test for diphtheria that has saved hundreds of thousands of lives. It wasn't long after that my father asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up. When I told him I wanted to be a writer, he was disappointed. He said, "Why not be a doctor and a writer, like Chekhov?" I gulped. I knew when I was over my head. But maybe I should have taken his advice. In those days, and when I was in college as well, many of the best and brightest wanted to be doctors, and for good reason. Where else could you do such intellectually challenging work, which simultaneously did so much overt good for people, and be paid well for it into the bargain? Doctors were the most respected people around, and justifiably so. But at other times, they have been wildly disrespected and used for ideological purposes or worse. One of those moments was Stalin's notorious plot against the doctors, when the dictator put dozens of Jewish doctors on trial for conspiring to poison top Soviet officials and destroy the state. It was crazy anti-Semitism, of course, that many believed a casus belli Stalin planned to use for mass deportation of Jews on a Hitlerian level. He'd already knocked off most of the Jews on the Politburo, and he might have done it had the Soviet leader not died in 1953. Khrushchev himself exposed the plot in his famous 1956 secret speech, saying Stalin, among other things, told his Minister of State Security, "If you do not obtain confessions from the doctors, we will shorten you by a head." Now, I'm not about to equate Obama's treatment of doctors to Stalin's. It was a cheap trick, more or less, to get your attention. But there is something disturbing in the way healthcare reform is being approached by the current administration. It has become highly partisan and political, with the real issues of health shunted away. The bill itself is proffered as if it were a presidential merit badge, something to be attached to Obama's sash so that he makes Eagle Scout or gets reelected. It's all some kind of political fantasy land built for the consumption of political pundits and talk show hosts, none of whom have read this bill either. Who could? In the real world, however, there is the story of those who actually help maintain our health, the doctors. Despite what the American Medical Association says, many of them seem to be deserting this thing in droves. More importantly, I have my doubts if the next generation of our best and brightest will still go to medical school if the government dominates the profession and it turns more bureaucratic than it already is, assuming that's possible. Those incredible innovations, like those of my father's friend Bela Schick, that have changed all of our lives and increased our longevity amazingly, will be fewer and further between. Considering what they do for humanity, the men and women who work those medical miracles deserve to be rewarded and encouraged more than anyone I can think of. But they are not under the new health plan. They are just cogs in a government wheel. Sorry, Dad. And the people know it. Listen to this woman at a Philadelphia town hall responding to Senator Arlen Specter, himself a cancer victim who has benefited extraordinarily from the best of advanced medicine.
I look at this health care plan. I see nothing that is about health or about care. What I see is a bureaucratic nightmare, Senator. Medicaid is broke. Medicare is broke. Social Security is broke. And you want us to believe that a government that can't even run a cash for clunkers program is going to run 1/7 of our U.S. economy. No, sir. No.
Could we say it better than that? This is Roger Simon, and I may have been talking through my hat, but that lady sure wasn't.